Shravanam is needed, and why otherwise how we can just fall into a wrong understanding. Because the translation here is, the intelligent man gives up happiness and sorrow by developing concentration of the mind on the self, capital S, thereby meditating on the old deity, capital D, who is inscrutable and inaccessibly lodged in the intellect, seated in the midst of misery. Nothing wrong, but what I am saying is, it's a very unhappy translation. It is correct in terms of being literal, but then the spirit is, gained through Shravanam alone, through the Bhashya, through Bhagavan. Oh, but we can't close every window, otherwise we'll bake. How to teach like this?
Maybe just this one behind Swamiji so that it doesn't come out on the recording quite so. We'll open them up in the breaks.
We don't have a break.
Oh, we don't have. Oh, that's right. Wishful thinking. Not for the breaks, one. But we would go till 10 o'clock.
The break is after classes.
I was hoping it was going to be till 10.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahma Vidyacharya Nachiketase cha. Tam durdarsham gudhamanupraveshtam
Tam durdarsham gudhamanupraveshtam
Guhahitam gahvareshtam puranam
Guhahitam gahvareshtam puranam
Adhyatmayogadhigamena devam
Adhyatmayogadhigamena devam
Matva dhiro harshashokau jahati
Matva dhiro harshashokau jahati
Tam durdarsham gudhamanupravishtam
Tam durdarsham gudhamanupravishtam
Guhahitam gahvareshtam puranam
Guhahitam gahvareshtam puranam
Adhyatmayogadhigamena devam
Adhyatmayogadhigamena devam
Matva dhiro harshashokau jahati
Matva dhiro harshashokau jahati.
Tam prakritam atmanam, this atma that you are wanting to know. You've seen the translation. It's difficult to understand, and the reasons why it is difficult to understand are given here, and we will go without much ado to the Bhashya. Tam durdarsham
Tam durdarsham
Dukkhena darshanam asya
Dukkhena darshanam asya
iti
iti
durdarshaha
durdarshaha
ati sukshmatvat.
ati sukshmatvat.
Yeah. So, tam durdarsham. Durdarsham is not that it is ugly, therefore it's not describing the Atma as ugly. Durdarsham, that which is a sight for sore eyes. That is one way that it can be wrongly taken. But that's why Adi Shankara says dukkhena darshanam asya. It's a bahuvrihi. That which is difficult to see, difficult to understand. See, because it's not an object. Precisely because it's not an object, it is difficult to see. It is difficult if you are going with a mindset of knowing the eye as an object other than you. Naturally, then only it becomes durdarsham. Dukkhena darshanam asya. Why? The hetu is immediately given ati sukshmatvat, because of the nature of being the very content of the subject, because of being the content of all thoughts, the truth of all experiences, the truth of all identities, including doer, seer, hearer, thinker, beer, whatever, not beer. Yeah, the truth of all identities, that which sustains all the identities which come and go, but itself is, without any particular, free of all the identities, free of all attributes, free of all dharmas, free of raga, free of dvesha, and most of all, as far as this bhashya goes for this mantra, free of being an object of what? The senses. It's not an object of the senses. Therefore, it is dukkhena darshanam asya. It is difficult to see. And then what? Because ati sukshma. This is very subtle. Subtle doesn't mean that it can be seen through microscope. Aniyo, aniyan. Not like that. Yeah. What do we need? Shruti scope. That's the only scope. That's the only scope for knowing the Atma, pun intended. Otherwise, there is no scope of knowing the Atma as the truth of oneself. Shruti is the scope because that is the pramana, and to know this is very difficult. Because usually one operates the sense organs and then comes with certain ideas, comes away with certain ideas about the Atma, which are all, each one of them, without exception, are wrong. Like the people, without pramana, in this case the eyes, the blind people feeling the elephant. They don't, why? Because pramana abhavatvat, because they don't have the correct pramana, in this case the eyesight, and so they are coming to many and varied and the conclusions, all of which have one thing in common: they are all wrong. That's the only conclusion. That's the only thing that we can say. So pramana abhavatvat, for want of not pramana but the correct pramana, the correct means of knowledge that can shed light on this very difficult otherwise to know situation, where the Atma sustains everything and is everything, but it is free of being any one thing. How are you going to know this? So tam durdarsham, that which is very difficult to gain, and then not only that, further gudham, gahanam, anupravishtam, prakrita vishaya, vijnanaihi, prachannam, iti etat. Yeah, so not only it is durdarsham, but it is also gudham. Gudham means it's the biggest secret, hidden. From guh, past passive participle, to hide, guh, in the sense of hiding, gudham, hidden. So why is it hidden? How is it hidden? It is hidden because it is not seen, not understood, not inquired into. Nobody has time for Atma. They have time for everything else. One more movie, sure, I can pencil that in. One more trip to the ice cream shop, definitely. And one more trip to the hairdresser, yes. That is if one has hair. And one more trip to the, doctor, dentist, whatever, sure. Definitely I need to take care of the body. I'll make time for that. One more potluck, absolutely. One more party, you bet. One more, appointment with something or the other, yes. One more class, oh no! There are already too many classes coming out of every pore. That is why there is not, immediately the feeling is, I don't have time for this. Yeah. Why? Because the value of this, this thing that I want to know, that very thing which is myself alone, and what it is going to do to my life when I understand it as the truth of myself, there is that value is in place of that value there is a big zero. There is no understanding. So the I plus known Atma, the Ahankara I plus the known Atma is equal to zero. This is the feeling. There is no value for this pursuit. Therefore, it is Gudha. You can tell, in fact, people do. People, when they start taking the classes, there is a phase. What is that? It's called the zeal of the new convert to Vedanta. And, they'll invite all their friends. They will say, I'll give you a cookie afterwards, at least come to one class. Yeah. These cookies are now all over the internet. Yeah, every website wants a cookie. So this is what the whole thing is. I'll give you a cookie. You come to the class. And then we'll go out to dinner. This is some kind of a pact, because otherwise nobody is willing to come. What is this? Sitting simply, and then listening to, talking endlessly about something which is not making any dent in my daily life. My daily life is filled with my appointment book, and do you see how busy I am? This is my life. These are the places, I'm going to every day. This is my routine and this is my thing. Certain things I have to do, because otherwise I cannot do. Without doing the certain things I have to do, I cannot do the things I want to do. In other words, I have to go to a job in order to want to have the weekends off, so that I can just goof off and play. This is what the whole thing. I have to have a job. I have to become a karta in order to become a bhokta. So I have to do certain things, otherwise I'm in trouble. And therefore I can't do the elective things. The whole idea is about doing the elective things all the time. But that is not a possibility, because there are certain things I have to do. And then in the free time, there are certain things I want to do. And together the have tos and the want tos, have to symbolizing kartritvam, want to symbolizing bhoktritvam. Even though it is action oriented, it's still bhogaya karma. So this kartritvam and bhoktritvam, karta bhokta, take over my appointment book. There is no, what do I gain out of Atma? Oh, you'll gain some peace. For peace I can have a drink. Why do I have to come to class? That's how I unwind after a hard day's work. I go and, I go to I go to a place where all these kinds of things are served, and then I just indulge, and then I get some sense of peace. I forget about everything. No, here it's not forgetting, it is knowing. What's the use of knowing? Will I come into a lot of money and don't have to get up and go to work tomorrow? No, that's not going to happen. Will my body miraculously heal of all ailments, current and those that are yet to come according to the prediction of the DNA and the horoscope? No, that will not happen. Will I suddenly become rich? No, that will not happen. Will all the difficulties and conflicts in my life suddenly and wonderfully cease? No, that will not happen. Then why should I come to this class? Why should I take up this pursuit? Because all the other, this is the truth of all other pursuits. Big deal, let it be. Let it be the truth of all other pursuits. Why, am I crazy? I already have enough things to do. So then this is the person who is lured into the class with a promise of a dinner afterwards, a coffee afterwards, a cookie. As soon as Sahana, Purnamadaha is said, here is your cookie, with great difficulty, squirming, they will sit in one class because of you. After that, they will not come back. And consider yourself very lucky if they don't stop you from attending also. That is what it is. Because there is that pull. Like, what are you doing? This is laughable. Whole day and night you are sitting pursuing this. Why? Are you out of your mind? Gudham means, Gudham doesn't mean that the Atma has somehow gone into some hiding. No, it's not gone into hiding, it is hidden for many reasons. Hidden for want of the correct pramana, hidden for want of viveka and vichara, hidden for want of vairagya, hidden for want of understanding that this is really not an object. So, all these, because of these reasons, it is hidden. And it's also hidden for a very important reason. This is something which is beautiful. It is gone into hiding because, so to speak, within apostrophes, because it is, even though the I sustains the thinker, the thought, it is not recognized. What is more important? The Vishaya, the sense object, and the Vikara that the Vritti undergoes in order to greet the Vishaya and handshake the Vishaya. Correct? So there are all these Vishayas, object, and then there is the Pramata, I, the knower. The knower interacts with the objects through the operation of pramana, which is in Sanskrit called pramana vyapara. Vyapara, operation, the exercise, the transaction of operating the various pramanas is called pramana vyavahara, pramana vyapara. So this pramana vyapara, meaning through the deployment of the various organs of knowing, sense organs and means of knowledge combined, sense organs, the pratyaksha, and then inference and everything together. All the other ways I have of knowing under my belt, at my fingertips. I become the knower of various objects in the world. And who is the knower? The subject, correct? The subject that is never subject to objectification, and that subject is, as we have seen last time, as like the screen over which many movies are played. So one gets caught up in the movie and does not think about or is not in touch with the screen and is not even aware that without the screen the movie cannot be seen. That screen is sustaining the movie but unaffected by the movie. So from the standpoint of the movie, the one who is seeing the movie, the screen is as it were hidden, even though it's not really hidden. It has gone into hiding. That's why it is in the past passive participle. It's as though hidden, gone into hiding. Why has it gone into hiding? Because for want of recognition. And how does the pramana vyapara takes place? How does the pramana vyapara take place? Pramana vyapara takes place through a very ingenious method. First, there are certain modifications that happen in the mind. To know anything. Flower, to know flower, flower vritti, flower thought is produced as soon as the word flower is uttered. Flower thought, and the flower can be uttered loudly by someone else, or it can be uttered silently by the unconscious in the form of a thought. In any case, flower vritti is produced, and that flower thought is called Vishayakara Vrittihi. It takes the form, the whole mind bends over backwards and sideways and forwards to become the very object of what is to be known. So there is a vikara, there is a subtle change because the vritti has come, flower vritti. And then once the flower vritti, ice cream vritti, anything comes, like the whole mind is just focused on the ice cream, it has become as it were ice cream. What is the next vikara? I want. That's another subtle vikara, because the ragadveshas are now engaged. First it was just this is flower, this is $1 million, this is flower, whatever the akara is, this is flower, this is something this is something. The mind just reports, the sense organs just report. Not the mind, the sense organs are reporters. They report, here is this big scoop of ice cream. you know, and it's a hot day, so naturally all the thoughts go and the mind says, but it looks delicious. Another vikara, correct? And then what? I'd like to have that. Oh, but it doesn't belong to you. It's being enjoyed by your most favorite enemy right outside outside the cafe. And you may give them a frown, go inside to find out that it's all sold out because it's such a hot day that every last bit of it is gone. Correct? Another modification. By, this is a cloudy modification. You feel like, why this person is sitting right in front of me and enjoying? What an idiotic fellow this is. And why is this happening to me? One more modification. The modification in the form of, what is that? Not the agent. First I was the agent. Now I am the victim of circumstances. You see so many modifications. And even with this regard to this one ice cream, that which sustains the thought of ice cream, that which sustains the pramata, the knower of ice cream, that which sustains the wanter of ice cream, and that which sustains the sad person, the agent of wanting and the victim of not getting, are all this Atma. Who has the time to see? Who has the vichara? Who has the enquiry? The enquiry, as it were, is always focused on things external to the eye, including this body, mind, sense complex. But it is not focused on the eye because it's very easy to circumvent the eye, because one, surrounded as one is by the not I, so the pramanas, the pramana vyapara is always taking place. Busy. One is busy trying, like a bee going flitting from flower to flower. One is busy trying to flit from one vishaya to another vishaya. Keeps on going. You drink the nectar here. Oh, that was bitter. Oh, this was sweet but not enough. But this was run out. So let me go to another one. Oh, in that flower there is a sale going on, 2 for 1, because bees are now rare. So let me go there. Yeah, 2 for 1. And the third flower, oh, if you drink of that you become very powerful, spiritual flower. So let me go there. And another flower, if I have darshan, my life will be changed. Let me go there. So it's all about chasing shadows. And who is this chasing the shadow? Another shadow. The shadow self. Chaya tapau brahmavido vadanti. It's going to be said later on. The shadow of that, the shadow of this person, who is a bundle of vrittis, modifications, modified happily because of the existence of the unconscious, the ragadveshas, is happily chasing other shadows. That's what it is. So where is the time to see what is casting the shadow? Correct? There is no time to see who is really the star of this movie. Namely, the screen is the star. It's not the stars that dot the screen. Yeah, the hero that comes and saves and then biffs the villain and cuffs that other fellow and then carries off the heroine into the sunset, that is not the star. That is the ahankara who is engaged in various actions. The real star is the one that allows the ahankara its shadow play without participating in it. That's why it is gudham. Want of pramana, mostly. Want of viveka. Want of vichara. Finally, it is also gudham because even though it is told, it's not understood. Shrutva api naveda kaschit. We saw that. Even after hearing, sometimes people will listen to Vedanta when they feel like they know, and they can sort of drop a few statements also along the way. Vedanta knowledge is used to impress friends at parties. Anvaya Vyatireka. What? Yeah, it's a very deep technical term from Vedanta. Avasthatraya Prakriya. What? Well, it's all about the sleeper and the waker-upper and the dreamer. But what is it? Well, they change the subject. One more term will be rope snake. It's all that. That's what it is. But what about the rope and the snake? Well, it's all about how sometimes the snake bites and sometimes the rope bites. And what kind of antidote to administer to the snake bite? And then what kind of antidote to administer for the rope bite? This is what is that newly minted Vedantin talking. The rope bite is sometimes more dangerous than the snake bite. So rope, that's why this aropa, this rope bite, one has to protect oneself. You can get a balm, you put that on and the rope will not bite. We'll just be around non-biting ropes. That is Vedanta. Things like this. Gudam, because the knowledge hasn't taken place. And why hasn't it taken place? Because Shrutva api na veda kasyachit. Kaschit, some people and are not able to see the value and to grasp it, not for want of buddhi. Buddhi is there, but because the buddhi is in the midst of plunged into the midst of great difficulties. What are the difficulties? Preoccupations. And so therefore he says, that's why he says this, that's the reason he gives. And he says, Gudham, Gahanam. Gahanam means density. Gudham anupravishtam. It has gone into hiding. Yeah, Gudham, it was enough to say Gudham, but anupravishtam. In fact, in every Shruti there is one section called Anupravesha Shruti in every Upanishad, in most of the Upanishads. Taittiriya being a very good example. Saha akamayat, saha asrijat, saha abhavat. Satcha tyatcha abhavat. So the great being desired, akamayat, asrijat, created everything, and then tadeva anupravishat, tad abhavat, entered the very things that were created and became, quote unquote, those very things, showing the non-separation of the creation from the creator, that the creator is present as the creation but transcends it also. The immanent and the transcendental aspects of Bhagavan are clearly shown in the other Shrutis, but here, hearing the word Anupravishtam, Adi Shankara doesn't go there because it is connected with Gudham. So he stays on the path here. He could have gone there, but that's not his purport here, and that's not the purport of the Shruti. Here something else has gone into hiding. What is that? Prakrita Vishaya Vikara Vijnanaihi. So the buddhi has gone into hiding. Atma, which should have been, reflected very nicely in the buddhi, as it were, has gone into hiding. Why? Because the surface of the buddhi is Prakrita Vishaya Vikara Vijnanaihi Prachannam. Pra plus Chad. And we saw last time the Dakara and Takara ending nouns or verbs, root verbs, take on the na as past passive participle. Bhinnah, channah, chinnah, chid, bhid, like this. Chad, to cover. Prachannam, pra plus chad plus kta, past passive participle. So completely, pra means completely covered. Covered by what? Vishaya vikara vijnanaihi. Vijnana, by the knowledge of objects. So the buddhi is busy. Busy body buddhi. Busy in the sense of It is filled with what is very apparent, what is immediately obvious, which are what? Vishaya Vikara. Vishaya object, and then Vishayakara Vritya Achannam. So these various vrittis that crowd the buddhi, because there is no respite. Always the eyes are seeing something, the ears are hearing something, and the mind is going behind all those objects, and therefore forgetting the one who is going, which is the very subject, the one who is being allowed to go is the very subject that is sustaining this goer. The one who is undergoing the vritti modifications is not the Atma, it's only that which is free from all the modifications that is sustaining the modifications. And this they knew even in the olden times, the whole movie scenario. They didn't have movies, but they had these murals on the walls. And we find this in the if you go to the remote parts of India, even now they have these cob houses, cob walls, and they do all these drawings, tribal paintings we call them now, but they are not tribal or anything, they are just drawings from the Shastra really, or they talk about village life, they talk about the festivals, their way of being, whatever they, that's the beautification of the compound walls. Very nice. On the houses also they do all these things, they put little pieces of mirrors and make it very aesthetic, and that it is a very ancient thing. So Lakshmidhara Kavihi, the Lakshmidhara Kavi, the author of the Advaita Makaranda, says of this. What does he say? Bhitti bhage same chitram. It's like the moving pictures on the wall. The pictures are moving? No. I am moving alongside the wall, going from the back to the front gate, and as I move along this curved wall, the strips of the murals succeedingly one after the other. In one they are all sitting down to eat, in another they are eating, third they have finished eating, now they are dancing around the fire. So it's like a movie, ancient movie, because you are walking around the wall which is showing succeeding photos. Sometimes they have the whole life of Krishna if you go in the rural areas. So first there is this, Devaki and her husband being imprisoned, then the child being born, the next mural, and the third one, the child being carried to the next village in a little basket, and then there Krishna playing and terrorizing all the butter owners, and then baby Krishna, even before that, this Putana, Putana Hatti, this Putana was the sister of Kamsa, and she said, I will go and kill, because in case he has escaped, because they couldn't find, the prophecy was that he would kill this Kamsa. So deployed the sister, and the sister says, I'll kill every child in the village, I have a unique method. And she went and she just pretended to be this sad childless woman. Can I just hold and feed your child, breastfeed your child, please? And what mother could, resist this plea? Here, take, have this baby, play with it as long as you want, breastfeed it, no problem. And basically she was giving it, poison. And then, every baby died mysteriously, suddenly. Infant mortality increased in Vrindavan. Everybody is dying. And then what happened? And then, comes turn for baby Krishna. And of course Yashoda says, here, take. And then she goes out to deliver some milk or whatever it is, comes back, and this fellow is dancing on the dead body of this, he basically sucked the life force out of her. This is what it is. So all this is pictured in the walls. Then he is dancing on this serpent, whose fumes were it was like worse than the toxic affluents, of any factory in the modern days. And so he is dancing on the head of the serpent, this 8-year-old Krishna terrorizing all the gopis, stealing their clothes at 16, and then climbing on top of a tree as they are bathing in the river below. All this is pictured on the walls, and as you go, you see this Krishna Leela and then you feel like you are in a movie. That's how it is. So this is a very ancient, even though we now it's easier to say this is a very ancient metaphor. So that, what is that? That is prakrita vishaya vijnana. You see, go from one frame to another frame, and then what? That which is allowing you to frame this scenario, that canvas over which this frame is stretched, you're forgetting it. Yeah. To know that is a big stretch. You're not understanding this. You're not understanding this because the buddhi is filled with vikaras. Vikaras means the modifications according to how they look, how things look, and the modifications are all prakrita vishaya. Prakrita vishaya means useless things. Yeah, in one word. Yeah. Yeah. Prakrite bhavam, prakritam, tadhita. So prakritam means what? That which occurs in nature naturally. And naturally means what? That which is obvious and available. And also prakrita has a kind of a kutsitartha, in the sense of it is it is kind of derogatory, kutsitartha, derogatory meaning. And how is it derogatory? Because it does not lead you to be a thoughtful, introspective person who is interested in spiritual growth at all. It does not lead you to samparaya. It does not lead you to any, it does not lead you to even on the level of the everyday vishayas, aesthetic growth. There is a difference between going for heavy metal and Mozart. There is definitely a difference. Mozart is, even though he is very popular, it's not for everyone. If you ask the teenager, they will say, what is this? This is boring. I want something which, sounds like these trucks that are going fast. What they carry is a different matter. So, and heavy metal, that's all it is. This is what I want. I want to be, completely brought out of my everyday pain and reality. And so therefore what? This is what I want, and so I want to sort of that din. This is what is most popular. This is what gets the most likes on Facebook. This is what is the most readily available. And if you look at, gourmet cuisine, even we are just looking at Vishayas. We are not even comparing between Vishaya and Vedanta, nothing. Even on the level of the objects, gourmet cuisine, like the subtle flavors of, something, Thai cuisine. The most subtle, the most discernible, for the most discernible palate. These are the kinds of sauces in which the food for the Thai kings of ancient times were prepared. That kind of a restaurant. Will you find as soon as you take an exit off the highway? Never. Never. What will you find? McDonald's. Yeah. More prakrita. Whereas these ancient sauces, how to make the sauces, delighted by the Thai kings or whatever, Samskrita Vishaya Vikara. No, Prakrita Vishaya Vikara. So you will find that burger something king. You will find McDonald's. And you will find some roadside Chinese restaurant. And what is that? That in China, if you serve that cuisine, people will run away because it has nothing to do with China. It's what the American think Chinese cuisine is. Just like pizza. That pizza also, if you go to Italy, they will just be horrified that this is what you eat. They will say, how come you have not yet had a heart attack? You have a heart attack waiting to happen. The Italians will tell us. If we go there and say, this is how we make the pizza, because nowadays it becomes so complex. The first there is that base. and that base is also, on top of the base is only cheese, and then inside the base also they are making only cheese. Everything is cheese. Plus then there is this cheese defense around, around this whole thing. And the whole thing is a heart attack on a plate. That's what it is. You can see how that melted stringy cheese is going straight to the arteries, bypassing the digestive system completely. It's going straight into the circulatory system and clogging up everything. This is what is called prakrita vishaya, where there is no taste for finer things. Why? Because the buddhi is preoccupied with the grossest manifestations. Even here there is nothing sattvic. Prakrita Vishaya Vijnanaihi Avritam Prachannam. It is filled with, covered as it were. What the it? Atma. How can Atma be covered? Atma is not covered as though it is covered. Like even the screen is covered by a violent film in which there is a lot of bloodshed. So there is all this bloodshed and people, jumping on top of one another and cutting off people's heads and all these kinds of a violent film where there is just so much gore. What does it do? It makes one forget the screen even more. And the screen doesn't scream, I am here, because of me you are able to watch this. No. So Prakrita Vijnana Vishayaihi, surfeited, completely soaked in the everyday, base. Prakrita here means base level. What's that? Base level, not even enjoyments. What is the base level occupations that are readily available all round? Because this is what people are Prakrita Buddhaya. So for Prakrita Buddhis, these things like McDonald's and and also they make it so cheap. 99 cents you can have lunch or you can have dinner. And so why will anybody want to even have the value of going to some place where you will pay $10 a plate just to be engulfed by some aromas and why? I can just go down the street and get this. This is what the whole thing is. That's what the whole thing is. So if you go to anywhere in America, if you get off the highway, because you're a traveler, that's why I'm using the highway. You're a traveler. Here too, you're a sojourner in life. And as soon as you look to the left and the right of the highway of life, you see all Prakrita Vishaya which come and enter the buddhi, and one is preoccupied with Prakrita Vishaya. Prakrita Vishaya is, of course, the same, that's the first meaning. Second meaning of the word Prakrita Vishaya, here very interesting, is that it has a certain sense of being, these are first we have the external preoccupations which I just talked about. Then the internal preoccupations are also Prakritam. It's not that when one has spare time, after being engulfed by all the Prakrita Vishayas from outside, that one is, persevering some wonderful thought of, oh, what would the world be like if there was no conflict? These are not the thoughts that are coming in the buddhi. What can I do to make my life more fulfilling? What can I do to my contribution to make the world a better place? That's not what is coming in the buddhi. What is coming in the buddhi? Look at what this person did. Look at how I'm always, taken advantage of. Look, see, they're wanting things out of me. Look, if you give an inch, they will take a whole yard. Look, and look how they are. Look what they are doing to me. I better, shore up my defenses. I better tell them who I am. I better put them in place. I better show off to make myself look bigger. And for this reason, what should I do? I should buy a better house. I should have a better degree. Or show them my pedigree. And, or I should get something. I should just, show them their place through invoking certain aspects of my status, which I have kind of kept hidden to deploy at these particular times. I should have an aura of inscrutability around me so that nobody comes and, violates me. Violates means what? Puts me down. So you see, the Prakrita Vishaya are split into two. One is not, as though it is not enough to completely be bombarded from all kinds of base level impressions from the outside. Even if granted, one is free for a little bit of time from being assailed by the outer impressions, which are very, very mundane. The internal thoughts that arise from bubble from the unconscious are no less mundane. Yeah. In fact, they are mandu. Yeah. Stubborn. Yeah. Completely. And then they revel in running the life of this fellow, of this ahankara. Fellow means ahankara. They take over. And they also, and number 3, Prakrita Vishaya. This Prakrita, the internal Prakrita, excitedly, catches on, latches on to the external Prakrita Vishaya. The internal Prakrita Vikara latch on to the external Prakrita Vishaya and have a wonderful dovetailing, handshaking experience, whatever. And they feel very secure. You see how this one Prakrita deserves another Prakrita, wants another Prakrita. So therefore they are not interested in this teaching. Even if you drag them to class and tie them up to the asana, the chair, what will happen? They will, instead of listening to the class, they'll be busy chewing the ropes to get free. That's what they'll be. They'll be gnawing at the ropes to get free of this. This is what it is. Why? Because too much Prakrita. The collisions of the Prakrita, head-on collisions. This Prakrita is delighted to find that Prakrita and then immediately latches on because that's all it is attracted to. So really, to be attracted to Samskrita Vishayaha, all the Samskrita Vishayas, one has to have a Samskrita Buddhi. But the Buddhi here is covered by the base level survival. Somebody is getting one over me. Somebody is pulling the wool over my eyes. Defenses. How to offend somebody so that I can defend myself. This is what it is. Offense is the best form of defense. Being offensive is really defensive. That's what people think. This is all Prakrita Buddhi. Is filled with these kinds of fears and worries. Security, survival, and a sense of pelf and power. I want to be somebody. What is that? That pull towards Aishwarya, that pressure exerted by the Ragadveshas for lording over and controlling everything around oneself. They just make sure that I choose the wrong things in life. Because if that is the inner Prakrita driving these outer pursuits, then Prakrita meets Prakrita and immediately falls in love and gets married. Yes, this is what happens. And so Prakrita Vijnana, Vishayaihi Prachannatvat. Because of this reason, it is Gudha. What is the it? Let's not forget the it. What is it? Atma. Atma. Gudham Anupravishtam. It's not only hidden, but it has gone further, burrowed inside. Poor Atma said, I'm not listening. I don't want any of this. I'm not participating. I'm just covering myself up. And I'm going further, burrowing further into hiding. That's why it's called Anupravishta. A new twist on Anupravesha Shruti. This is also a different kind of Anupravesha Shruti. It is so beautifully Anupravishta that there is no hope of it coming out unless through the grace of the teacher. The next mantra is going to explain that. Grace of the Shruti and the teacher combined will pull out the Atma like even a rabbit from the hat. This is what the whole thing is. Yeah, it's burrowed deep inside like a mole. Atma is the mole. Yeah. Yeah, it is not the mole, it's the soul. Soul thing. S-O-L-E. It's the soul. S-O-U-L also you can take. I suppose we can indulge it one time. So, it's not the mole, it's the soul thing. It's the soul. So therefore, it has burrowed itself because it doesn't want to have anything to do with it. It has gone, as it were, into hiding. Leave me out of this, do whatever you want. And then what? Guhahitam
Guhahitam
Guhayam
Guhayam
Buddhau Sthitam
Buddhau Sthitam
Tatra
Tatra
Upalabhyamanatvat.
Upalabhyamanatvat.
Not only it is Gudham Anupravishtam, as though that was not enough, it is also Guhahitam. Okay, where is it hidden? Because this is the question. It has gone into hiding and thrown some sand on itself. More Prakrita sand. It has just covered itself up completely. Even the little head of Atma is not appearing anywhere. It has gotten sick of this Prakrita, internal Prakrita, external Prakrita. It has gone into hiding. What are we talking about? Let's be clear. Atma. Is it limited or limitless? Limitless. So how can the limitless be located in some place? Guha hitam. Then it has entered a cave. What is this cave? Buddhi. It has gone into hiding, thrown some sand on itself, and the all-pervasive, limitless Atma is Buddhahu Nihitam Guhayam. How can the all-pervasive, limitless I, Atma, you can say find a place? This is where it is hidden. That means something gadbad hai idhar. Kuch na kuch, something is wrong here. Because if it is limitless, it should be all-pervasive, because it cannot, limitlessness cannot have space. You cannot define a certain space and say that right here, in the palm of my hand, here in this space, I can see it. Here, in this tiny little space covered by my palms, exists the Atma. Take a quick look. There it is, so small, Anutvat. Take another quick look. Because if I keep doing this, it will go away. So I have to catch this Atma, and it is here. Look, look, look. Deep down in the cave of the Buddhi, away from the din of the everyday life. Atma Asti. Atma sits and waits for people to come and do pranam. Like even the sadhus living in the higher reach of the Himalayas, these cave vasis, these people who sit in caves, and they come out only during bhiksha time so that the travelers can give them something, like that. Atma is just waiting, the jilted eye. Jilted by what? The base level prakrita ahankara I notion. Jilted, wilted, it has gone into a quilt of the buddhi. Quilted, as it were, in this buddhi, this Atma lies, waiting, pining to be discovered, like even those princesses in these grim tales. Grim tales. Yeah. I have purposely omitted the word fairy because they are all very grim. Look, samasa, grim tales. And then what happens in these grim tales? Cruel father imprisons, possessive, over the only child, who happens, of course, to be beautiful, brilliant, shining princess. Traps her, wraps her up, mummifies her, rather daddifies her, and then traps her in a tower, and then barricades the palace with a moat full of jumping, hungry, underfed crocodiles. Yeah. And snapping things, snapping sharks and snapping crocodiles. Yeah, in fact, they need teeth guard because they have snapped so many times. And then what? The shining knight, in the armor, with the spear for the aforementioned crocodiles. And then the the shield to defend from sharks, etc. And a special thing to kill the king. Special potion to off with the head of the king or to make the king disappear. Goes and rescues this beautiful shining princess trapped in this big turret, this big tower which is inaccessible. Food is just thrown to her, by experienced javelin throwers hired for that occasion. Little sandwiches she gets. And she's waiting for him. She doesn't even know him. She's waiting for him. Oh, pining, where were you all my life? Here I am. Take me out of this hell. And off they go riding. All the crocodiles killed. The father, the king, mercilessly killed. And then after this, bloodbath, they ride off. And, he is taking her away from this. This is actually very metaphorical as it turns out. Brothers Grimm were very serious about all this. The king is Ahankara, who has trapped the Atma as it were in the Buddhi by his, by his tyranny and, despotism. Despot rhymes with desperate. Only the desperate that get despotic. That's what it is. So by his despotism has trapped this shining, beauteous thing of joy. Therefore he is also, he's possessed it and by made a big mistake, an adhyasa of trapping it and owning it and possessing it, but really ignoring it and focused on defending himself and his position rather than her. In the name of her, he is just defending himself and his position and his power. And as a result is very lonely. Raga Dvesha snapping all the time. And he won't even let his higher self, Guru Prasada, the Guru in the form of the knight in the shining armor, or the Shastra in the knight of the shining armor, or the Guru carrying the spear of the Shastra, to kill this Ahankara, to displace this Ahankara. And then what? Rescue, as it were, the Atma, Durdarsham, Gudham, Anuprabhishtam from its misery. Atma is not miserable. Ahankara is miserable because the Atma is unknown. So the unknown Atma, which really doesn't need rescue, is as it were rescued. And where is it trapped? In the Buddhi. Trapped within quotes. It's not trapped. The limitless, all-pervasive cannot be trapped, much less located. But then why is the Buddhi pointed out if it's all pervasive? Tatra upalabhyamanatvat, because it is the place of recognition. So if you see a tower, you immediately think of princess. If you see a Buddhi, you immediately think of Atma. It's the Sahavasa. Because it is that place where it is recognized. You can't think of a tower without tyranny and imprisonment and princess and something that is trapped there. You cannot think of Buddhi without thinking of that in which the Atma is recognized, the place of recognition, Tvat. Because of that, it is recognized in the Buddhi. Therefore, the Buddhi is pointed out. Because this is the place of recognition, not only of Atma, but all the Prakrita Vishaya Vijnana also. Unlike the cow, which has 4 stomachs, one to chew the cud, one for chewing the cud, another for ruminating, the cud, and the third one and fourth one spares. It has 4 stomachs, the cow. Unlike that, we don't have, at least we should have been given 2 buddhis. One buddhi for what? Prakrita Vishaya. Another buddhi for purists like us, Atma, where Atma unassailed and not dirty by all these ragadveshas, shaken off from all the ragadveshas. It has shaken itself off. It is wiped clean, polished to its brilliance and taken over to this buddhi here, So we should have at least been given 2 buddhis. Prakrita buddhi, number 1, for Prakrita Vishayas, McDonald's and all these other heavy metal and jamming and all these things. And then Samskrita buddhi for holding the Atma, for recognizing the Atma. One special buddhi should have been given. How cruel this Bhagavan is. Same buddhi, everything is recognized. Ayyo. What does this mean? This means that the Prakrita has to be banished. Those crocodiles have to be speared by the Shastra, the crocodiles of the Ragadveshas, that Vishayakara Vritti that they keep identifying with the Ragadveshas, they have to be speared by the Shastra in order to recognize the Atma. How unfair this Bhagavan is. At least 2 buddhis, he who is all pervasive and does everything, almighty, all power, could have at least given this lowly, sad jiva, already sad. And then 2 buddhis. But here, how many buddhis does one have? Barely 1. And therefore, this is not fair. In this one buddhi, I recognize all these stupid vishayas, things that take me away from Atma. And then in the same buddhi, I recognize the vishaya that makes me recognize both the vishaya and the Atma itself. Oh, how can Atma make me recognize Atma? Because it is self-shining. It doesn't need proof to exist. It is self-existent. It is self-shining. It simply is. And this is what I have to understand. This is where I have to come to terms with this, that there is only one buddhi, barely, that which is barely there. And why does it look like barely there? Because that itself is gudham. Buddhi, what buddhi? Where is it? First you have to find the buddhi. That's why the gudham, anupravishtam. And then guhahitam. It's not a repetition. First the buddhi is covered. Buddhi is covered by Prakrita Vishaya. And then the Atma that is recognized in the buddhi first has to be uncovered from the Prakrita Vishaya, has to be divorced from the Prakrita Vishaya to which it is codependently married in order for it to understand the brilliance of the Atma. Do you see now there is a certain layering here? Like chocolate cake, you just put one thing on top of the other. First there is Atma, and where is the Atma recognized? In the buddhi. And unfortunately, the buddhi itself is covered with the dead leaves of Ragadvesha and all the Prakrita Vishayas which the Ragadveshas bring in. So there is so much clutter. The buddhi is a hoarder. It has hoarded all kinds of thoughts and objects, of those objects that bring about those thoughts. So the objects are brought in via the thoughts. Itself has certain vikaras based on the unconscious, the Ragadveshas. So the 2 are there covering as it were, the same Atma which the buddhi is equipped to recognize. Alas, aho, we have to say at this point, how are we going to get out of this situation? What are we going to do? Guha hitam, guhayam sthitam. It is in the buddhi, it is in the same buddhi which is now running after something or the other. And that's why it is not recognizing the gasoline which is making it run, the fuel. The fuel is the Atma, which is beyond duality, which is just like when you're driving a car, you don't think of the petrol, unless of course some red light is flashing right in front of you and you have to stop and whatnot, it's on empty. Otherwise nobody is thinking of the petrol that is allowing the car to be driven. You don't think of that. That is taken for granted. What do you think of? Oh, how to take the left turn, where to go from here, what is in front of me, what is behind me, how do I access this? Oh, this is a dead end. Oh, how do I come back? Where do I go now? Oh, that's also a dead end. Oh, alas, nobody is thinking of the petrol. This limitless supply of petrol that is making me drive myself against a wall repeatedly. Nobody thinks of that. Nobody thinks of the petrol that's powering this karma, and this person with all this karma where I am repeatedly dashing into the wall, life after life, life after life after life. Only the wall changes. Red color wall, yellow color wall, this Vishaya, that Vishaya. I am caught in this, trapped in this. And that which is allowing me, it is so beautiful that the Atma, which is, apnoti sarvam, sarvam atti, sarvam apnoti. It becomes that which fills up everything. And that which is the truth of the bhokta, atti, that vishayan atti, that which eats, imbibes of the vishayas, allows the bhokta to imbibe the vishayas without being addicted to them. That which allows the karta to move around and collect the karma without being the karta. That which is the bhokta without being the bhokta. Ultimate, resting place of karta bhokta, that which sustains the karta and the bhokta. This fellow who is taking wrong turns and dashing and crashing into the median, into the wall, into buildings, because of what? Lack of viveka. Lack of viveka. Lack of vairagya. I keep crashing into the same place. I keep getting attracted to the same things. And forget that which is powering the very attraction and all the pursuits and all the ragadveshas is free of all the attractions. And if I only spend some time and energy and effort to get to know that and to rescue that which is in the midst of these kinds of difficulties, which is going to be talked about soon, in fact, that is what I need to stop running around in circles. That is not understood. So therefore, guhahitam, it is in the buddhi, but it is not for want of recognition, for want of pramana, for want of all the reasons that we have just now talked about. It is not recognized. Buddhau sthitam tatra upalabhyamanatvat, because it is upalabdha there, because it is available there. Gahvareshtham,
Gahvareshtham,
Gahvare,
Gahvare,
Vishame,
Vishame,
Aneka,
Aneka,
Anartha,
Anartha,
Sankate Tishtati,
Sankate Tishtati,
Iti,
Iti,
Gahvareshtham.
Gahvareshtham.
Yeah. Now, so Gahvareshtham, Gahvara means a ravine. And what is interesting about a ravine is that everything falls in it. Yeah. And a ravine is deep, and a ravine is dangerous and slippery because it has rained on the surface, and you can lose your footing anytime. So what is on top? What was on top of the ravine? Atma. Atma lost its footing, as it were, and Atma went and is in the midst of, has fallen into this deep ravine full of what? Full of all kinds of bugs and mugs and thugs, and it is just being assailed everywhere by everything. Not really. What do you mean Atma is inside a ravine? The Gahvara means Sankata, difficulties. It is situated in the middle of difficulties. In the midst of difficulties, it's not situated in a pure, unassailable place. Why? Because the only place that is pure and unassailable is itself, which is placeless, which cannot be placed anywhere. So, there is no space. That is not the Atma. Tasmad va etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhutaha iti shrutehe. Because it is said that this Atma is what? From this Atma alone came space. So you cannot say that Atma is located in space or in a ravine or even in the buddhi. The location is as though because of the place of recognition. And here another location is given for the Atma, which is what? In the midst of difficulties. It is located in the buddhi, which is in the midst of difficulties. Buddhi is always a difficult place. Surrounded as it is by ragadveshas, this buddhi becomes a storehouse of difficulty. Anartha sankate, all kinds of useless fears, useless tears. What will happen if I do this? What will happen if I don't do this? How should I go about this? How should I not go about this? Oh no, here I go again. Oh no, I missed another opportunity. Oh no, what will happen now? Oh no, what happened then? Oh, I'm still dealing with the fallout from the last life. When will that end? You know, when will I grow up? Well, do I want to grow up? What shall I be when I grow up? 60-year-old asks. You know? And it's kind of a standing American joke. Well, when I grow up. And the person who is 92 says that. You know? And this is the thing. There is a certain refusal to grow up because of the severe body-mind identification. Because if I grow up, then vardhate, then viparinamate, and then apakshiyate, that modification will start. So therefore I refuse to grow up. That is the difficulty. That is anartha vishaya. Anartha, vishaya vratan, And then all these anarthas, this group of anarthas that surround the buddhi like hungry crocodiles, just snapping turtles and snapping all kinds of things. And then this buddhi is in peril, because the buddhi is given over to ragadveshas, the buddhi is given over to the unconscious. And therefore the Atma is not in peril, but the buddhi is in peril. And in this perilous, precarious buddhi, Atma is rajate, shines, is the king of this buddhi, which is in great peril. It's kind of an upalakshana, a metaphor for a jnani who lives in samsara. Where else will poor jnani go? Jnani cannot have an out of samsara experience unless the jnani is on some other drug. Yeah. So jnani has to remain in samsara. Before jnanam, where was the jnani? In samsara. After jnanam, where will the jnani be? In samsara. What's the difference? In the beginning, in the before picture, jnani, the ajnani in samsara is as it were, completely under the spell of samsara, unable to recognize the truth of oneself. The jnani in samsara ceases for the jnani, even though living in the midst of difficulties, he is not assailed or afflicted by the very difficulties that one is living, as it were, in the midst of. So too, this is on the collective level. On the individual level, what are the difficulties? The unconscious, the preoccupations, the running after this and that, the ragadveshas, the fears, the tears, and kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. These are the difficulties. And the jnani just unwinds and unhooks, unplugs from them. Yeah. Is not plugged into kama, krodha. Unplugs. Yeah. That's why, in Europe they say now they're having 1 day of unplugging. Unplugging all the gadgets which constantly keep beeping and some messages coming, something. This is a cyber holiday. They are trying to enforce it as a law in certain countries. I don't know if it will pass. But some countries have already made it like after this certain time, the work, the job cannot have the power to call you, even though they have your email and you're not bound to answer it. They have already passed certain laws. But the cyber holiday, which signifies this unplugging from various prakrita vishayaha, a conscious unplugging. So like this, the jnani is unplugged from samsara, collectively, on the collective level. And on the individual level, the jnani is unplugged from the internal samsara of raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, moha. The two are actually connected. Once you plug internally, unplug externally, it's just a child's play. Yeah, the hooks are all within, not without. So this internal unplugging as a metaphor for jnanam is given here in the sense of Atma in the midst of all these difficulties sits already unplugged. I don't even have to unplug. What I have to unplug is only my preoccupations. My buddhi is plugged up with all kinds of rubbish. That has to be unplugged. Atma is already unplugged. I recognize, I walk the buddhi over. I walk the I over. From identifying with the mana buddhi to the I, which is the Atma. I walk the I over. And once I do this, the knowledge is a walkover. This is very beautiful. So Gahvare Tishtati, in the midst of teeming, seething difficulties in the form of ragadveshas, the brimming unconscious, ready to explode, as though it is inside a volcano of all these emotions, the Atma sits unassailed, not heated, not heated up, not melting, not, what is that? Na enam dahati pavakah, no fire can touch it. This is what the Atma is. It has to be recognized as the I. So then he makes a very wonderful connection. Guhahitah. No, one forgot. I forgot one sentence. Yatah evam godham anupravishtah guhahitah cha atah gahvarishtah atah durdarshah. Now he is walking us back, because these are not these words that are all in the second case. Durdarsham, guhahitam, gahvareshtam, all these things are not just like blue big, lily, like that. Blue big fragrant lily. Each of those words qualify the lily independently. Correct? They are not like that. Here each one is the cause of the other. In blue big fragrant lily there is no causation, because the blue atvat, neelatvat, therefore it is sugandhi. No. Because it is blue it is fragrant. Because it is fragrant it is big. Like that there is no interconnectivity. Even though they are adjectives that qualify something, there is no interconnectivity. Paraspara asambandha. There is no paraspara sambandha. There is no mutual connection. Here there is a mutual connection, because all of them are talking about that one thing which has no place or no room for adjectives. So really it's a description. What kind of a description? It is describing the state of affairs, and it's a causal state of affair where there is a certain causation that Bhashyakara wants us to recognize in the Shruti. And what is the causation? Yatah evam, yatah evam, because the Atma, yatah, because, evam, in this manner, gudham anupravishtah, because the Atma in this manner has gone into hiding, as it were. Gudham anupravishtah. Why? Guhahitah cha gudham anupravishtatvat. In other words, guhahitam, or rather we put it the other way around, guhahitatvat gudham anupravishtam, because it is hidden in the buddhi. It has got, or the other way around also, both ways it can be taken, because the two are very similar. Gudham anupravishtatvat, because it has gone into hiding. Why? Because of the prakriti vishaya crowding the mind. Therefore you can say it is deep down inside the buddhi, as it were, so to speak, covered by all these preoccupations. So you see that therefore there one becomes gudham anupravishtam is the causation of guhahitatvam, and then atah gahvareshtah, guhahitatvat gahvareshtah, because it is somewhere in the buddhi which is refusing to recognize it, because it is busy recognizing other things. Therefore what we say, it is in the middle of troubled times. Gahvareshtam, it is situated in the middle of difficulties. It is horribly difficult to understand it. Why? Because it is gudham anupravishtatvat guhahitam, guhahitatvat gahvareshtam atah. And therefore finally we walk back to the first word, durdarsham atah gahvareshtatvat durdarsham. Difficult to understand, difficult to see, difficult to own up as the truth of myself, whose knowledge is difficult to assimilate. So therefore what? It is first, it is hidden. It is hidden from view. It has gone into hiding, as it were, covered, as it were. What is the cause of that? Guhahitatvam, because covered, as it were, it is by all the base level preoccupations. And then guhahitatvat, because it is covered by the base level preoccupations, internal and external. Then what happens? Gudha Gahvareshtha. We say Atma is situated in the middle of a very difficult scenario, in a deep ravine of difficulties of Ragadveshas. Although unaffected, this is the situation. And there being not two buddhis, there being only one poor buddhi, which is the source of knowing the Atma, which is the source of knowing every other thing too. Therefore, we say difficult to ascertain. Durdarsham. Understood? Yeah. Further. Tam Puranam Puratanam Adhyatma. Yeah, let's stop there. Tam Puranam Puratanam. This word has come before, so he's not going to give the meaning again and again, because he expects that you would have known the previous derivation from the previous time. So this is Adi Shankara giving a quiz. So what is the derivation of Purana? What is the etymological derivation? What did we say? Pura eva nava cha. Pura eva. Pura, it was there before. Navaha cha. That which is always there. Old meaning, anytime you look it is there. Older than the oldest. Newer than the newest. So meaning it is uncreated, limitless, Puratanam. So meaning it is ancient. It is uncreated. He just takes the one side of it. He just says Puratanam. Adhyatma yoga.
Adhyatma yoga.
Adhigamena.
Adhigamena.
Vishayebhyah.
Vishayebhyah.
Pratisamhritya.
Pratisamhritya.
Chetasaha.
Chetasaha.
Atmani.
Atmani.
Samadhanam.
Samadhanam.
Yeah. So, Adhyatma Yoga Adhigamena. So, Adhyatma Yoga, what is Adhyatma Yoga? He says, Adhigama, forget it. Adhigama means recognizing it through Adhyatma Yoga. That we'll do later. Adhyatma Yoga, he defines. Vishayebhyah Pratisamhritya Chetasaha Atmani Samadhanam. Pratisamhritya, in relation to the Vishayas. Now, the problem we have to understand. What was the problem? Too many Vishayas crowding the Buddhi. Correct? Prakrita Vishaya. Prakrita Vishayaha crowding the Buddhi, blotting out the Atma, as it were, because the Buddhi is unable to and refuses to, at one level, recognize it, preoccupied as it is with all the Vishayas. So now, how do I recognize the Atma? The method is given here. So, Pratisamhritya Vishayebhyah. Yeah. And in another place, the same word is used. Vishayebhyah paravritya sthapanam swasva golake. Where is that? Viveka Chudamani. Yeah. Vishayebhyah paravritya, returning as it were, backtracking, tracing from the Vishayas, sthapanam, swasva golake, keeping the Vishayas limited to the various, bringing the sense organs back from the various Vishayas and putting the eye back in its socket, putting the eardrum back in the ear canal. Because the eye is a wandering eye in the literal sense. It has gone out and as though merged into the Vishaya, and I pluck the eye out from the movie, mall, etc. And then Vishayebhya paravritya, returning the eye back to its socket. Come on, stay here. Don't go. Don't leave. You stay here. Put some super glue around. And the eardrum, which was busy joining some drumming group somewhere, is called back in order to do Shravanam, and it is pushed into the ear canal, as it were. Very beautifully said. That the sense organs, like the stray horses, go after the object and they have lost the reins. These reins are just gone. And then what? They have to be called back. So calling back the sense organs and keeping them still. Stilling the sense organs is what is talked about here. Vishayebhyah paravritya, disconnecting, unplugging, unhooking the sense organs from the Vishayas to which they are married. How? By stopping, dropping those very preoccupations. This is how the Viveka Chudamani is very beautiful. This is how it talks about. Sthapanam means this, asthana, the staying power, allowing the sense organs are taken like the dog. Instead of taking the puppy to obedience school, take the sense organs to obedience school. You tell the eyes, stay, don't go after this. Because once the eyes go, it drags the mind, which is the reins. The mind goes, the buddhi goes, he, I'll also come along. You have one more room in the car for me? Yeah, sure, hop in. Okay, I'm also going. And they motor down the wrong highway, which is always ends in a crash. This is what the thing is. At least in the regular highways, it says don't go wrong way. It is, the board is there. Here there is no board, or the buddhi drives over the board and then goes. Why? Because it is bored, staying at home. And it says, why should the indriyas have all the fun? I want them to serve me and tell me which are the nice hot spots in town where I can go and have a bite to eat, where I can go, which is the hub, which is the, which is the friend's house that I'll get the most gossip, and so I can just sort of spend some extra energy spinning. Which friend has all the top news that I can go get caught up? News what? About other people, about other friends. That's all it is. So, where can I go? The buddhi says first. This is the sadness. This is very sad. That's why it is said Gahvareshta. Buddhi says, hey sense organs, you are my slave. You are all my slaves. Go find out what is fun. Go find out what is happening. Go find out what is rocking and come and tell me. First the mind, the first level is the mind gives orders to the sense organs. Go find out. And then the buddhi says, yeah, good mind. Yeah, I'm glad you did that. I'm with you. And the mind goes, how nice, I'm coming along. And the buddhi forgot who is the master. Buddhi forgot that I had commissioned these people to tell me what I want, so that, when the menu comes, I can choose what I want and cross. Okay, check. Cross. Instead of doing that, what happens? Instead of me choosing, I get chosen by the sense organs and the mind, and I go after things that I really don't want to go after. This is what happens, and this is a very predominant theme of the Kathopanishad, to which we will be returning again and again in every Valli. So you see how it has become ulta. The buddhi is, the buddhi which was the key star here, the one that hired a retinue of sense organs. After interviewing them, can you see properly what is written over there? I say A, B, C, D, E. Oh, good. You have, you don't have short sight, you don't have long sight, you have everything you need, you have the corrective glasses if you need them. Ear, can you hear these wonderful tones? Yes, I hear them. Okay, good, hired. Nose, can you smell these wonderful, fragrances? Yes, check. Nose, you are hired. Tongue, what kind of cuisine is this? I think it is Mexican cuisine. Check, hired, you passed the test. What? Oh, touch. What is this? I think this is velvet. Check, correct again. You are all hired. This is your salary and this is your work days. You get 10 hours off, optimistically, to sleep. And, most people get 5, I think, but anyway, to be generous. So, you get 10 hours off where you can just unplug and rewind. But then next day morning, I'll give you a cup of coffee, says the buddhi. That is included in the perks. Caffeine. Because the sense organs on caffeine is wonder to watch. Zing, zing, zing. You go off. And you go off and you report to me the happening places. The mind is your immediate supervisor. You report to the mind, and the mind will come and tell me what all is there to do and what all is there in the world today, in my jagat, in my world that I inhabit. And all those I will decide, I will look through the report that you have given, and decide what to go after and what not to go after, and then you have to come along with me because I have hired you. Unfortunately, this is the case of the slave rebellion. Yeah, in fact, in Indian history, there was the so-called slave dynasty. What is that? These Khiljis. Yeah, there were these Khiljis who were Alauddin Khilji. This is Indian history now. In the 12th century, there were these slaves. They were actually slaves of the previous rulers. And one day they decided to overthrow the rulers and take on the empire. And unfortunately, even though they were kings, it is gone down in history as the slave empire. Yeah, some karma. So that slave epithet has not gone. Slave kingdom, slave empire, even now we call it. Even now if you look at the small children's, grade school children's history book, what happened in 1197, etc., they will say that the slaves took over, the slave king but called a slave regime, slave empire. So this is what is the original slave empire, is the sense organs who have trapped the buddhi. Because first they report and say, yes sir, yes master, yes master, yes sir, here is what it is. And suppose the buddhi says, no, I think we need to go to Vedanta class and I think we need to commit ourselves to Vedanta. One sense organ, one slave looks at the other slave, and one slave comes with a cloth with chloroform and snuffs out the buddhi. The other one ties its hands and legs and throws it in the aforementioned ravine. Yeah, that is what happens. The buddhi is no longer available, and or otherwise, even if it doesn't throw it, drags it forcibly behind the vehicle in which they drive. They motor down, and here is the buddhi going bumpity bump behind and not tied up completely, literally tied up in so many pursuits, philosophically tied up because unavailable to recognize the Atma, which is, and inside this bumpity buddhi, Atma is sitting under difficult times. Atma is what? Captive, held captive. The captivating Atma is as though captive in the buddhi that is captive. That is why it is Gahvareshtha. So Adhyatma Yoga is backtracking the slave rebellion. The slave riot is backtracked. How is it backtracked? It is backtracked by calling all the sense organs and putting them on leave. Yes, suspended from your job. What is my job? To go after things and look at them and report. You are not going to report, and even if you report, I am not going to listen. Like if an employee is suspended from the job and still they end up showing up to work and sitting on their desk, everybody will ignore them, correct? And they say, look guys, what I found, this is what will help you. They will not even take the report from him, because they are all reporting to the boss who says, this one is no longer employed. And sometimes in India, they will even put an advertisement in the paper. If someone comes as a salesman purporting to represent us, please don't entertain them. This fellow no longer works for our company. They have to put it in the paper to make it a fact so that nobody else is bamboozled in the name of the company. So here also, the buddhi parts company from the sense organs and says, all of you are fired. You have done a lousy job. Yeah. And now I don't want any more reports, because the problem is with the reports, correct? Yeah. Not with the reporters, with the reports themselves. Because then the mind and the sense organs, the mind cannot stage a coup and capture the buddhi, as it were. Cannot do that. And the sense organs are under suspension. The mind is under probation. Mind is permanently temporary job, under probation. And the buddhi recognizes itself again, cognizes itself again as the boss. This is the taking back. Vishayebhya paravritya, samhritya, same thing. Swasthane avasthanam. occupying my own place of glory. And what is buddhi's place of glory? To discern, not to be the object of being trapped in someone else's discernment. And who is discerning? The mind is discerning. Come on, the mind cannot make out, anything. The mind is constantly vacillating. It cannot be given the power of discernment. Buddhi is the discerner. So, swa avasthane, sthapanam, being put back in the throne, occupying the throne again after being enslaved, and by rejecting the agents of slavery. So therefore, this is a conscious will on part of the student here. Unplugging from those dangerous ravines, those situations which get me into trouble because I'm not yet strong enough. So the first level is unplugging. I don't go there. I don't go to such places. Just like the alcoholic is told, stay away from bars. Stay away from other friends that also drink. Stay away, because there's no other way. Because once you're there, you're helpless. So the buddhi, knowing that, doesn't get caught in such situations. It returns from those situations. So vishayebhyaha prati samhritya. Then what does it do? After returning from those situations, chetasaha atmani samadhanam. Samadhanam here means avasthanam. Chetasaha, of the chetas, of the buddhi, of the thinking. What is that? Thinking? The discerning faculty. Chetasaha, chetas, atmani avasthanam. It is brought to sit next to the Atma, so to speak. It is brought to sit in the Atma as I. It is brought to a place of witnessing. That's why the first place of unplugging is really the place of witnessing. It's brought to bear witness to all the goings on without participating in any of them, and that's exactly what the Atma does. It's alupta drik. It witnesses without fail. It's the always witness, ever witness. So I bring buddhi to sit with the Atma to witness. Therefore, what? Buddhi is Atma. Atma is not buddhi. It becomes very clear. Buddhi is the place to know the Atma, but Atma is because buddhi is because Atma is. So this I know. So first line of defense is to cut off the sangati, the connection with people, events, places and things that lead me down this prakrita life. Second is I repatriate the buddhi in all that is favoring this knowledge, in all that is Atma like, which is what? Witness. That is the second thing. And this avasthanam here is called samadhanam, the single-minded focus. Adhyatmayogah tasya adhigamena tasya adhigamaha tena matva devam atmanam dhirah harshashokau atmanah utkarsha apakarshayoho abhavat jahati. Yeah. So Adhyatma Yoga Tasya Adhigamena. Adhyatma Yoga, we know what this is. Tasya Adhigamena means using this Adhyatma Yoga as a means of Adhigama, as a means of reliving, recognizing the truth of myself. It's very clear that not Shravanam or Mananam but Nididhyasanam is pointed out here. Because reveling in the Atma after bringing the mind back repeatedly wherever it goes from the Prakrita Vishayas, bringing the mind back repeatedly to bear on itself and reveling in its glory and making its glory the Samadhanam, the Avastha, reveling in its own in its own self, reveling in oneself, which is called nididhyasanam, contemplating upon the Atma. An unknown thing cannot be an object of contemplation. So Atma here is a known thing. So it is after Shravanam and Mananam. And why does he bring about Nididhyasanam and not Shravanam and Mananam? Is because he is going to talk about Shravanam and Mananam in the next mantra. First he talks about Nididhyasanam, how to contemplate. And so here Dhira is not just the Viveki. Here Dhira means the one who knows, the wise person. Because this is not just about preparing for the knowledge. This is the why he is only talking about Nididhyasanam is he is talking about the Jnani, because what happens? Because last time we saw what is the fruit of this. We are seeing the fruit of this phala. So the Dhira here is not the usual Dhira, the one who is prepared, the one who has got the Viveka, not the Viveki, but the Jnani, because of what comes after Harsha Shokau Jahati. More we will see next time we meet, which is on Friday morning at 7:30. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. 4 o'clock Bhagavad Gita.